Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose, but by them understanding through those who have become messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness by giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the Earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 264th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice here on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Cramond, and I'll be host today, along with Mark as co-host. Thank you, Mark. And I think we're ready to begin today's workshop with members of the Universal Council, specifically Marie, to start off today's program. So let me get the slides ready and let's begin.
Yes, thank you, Rick, for the introduction. So welcome, everyone. I am Marie, and I'm a Universal Council member for the Norwegian language. And I was thinking of what to start with today, and I have a document which I have gone through once before, but it's called The Flower and the Seed from the Knowledge Seekers Workshop 364. And I thought it was kind of relevant because Mr. Keshe have lately talked about this, the seed of the universe, or how the seed is traveling, and it's a little bit about the same. Okay, so I will start with that. So this is Mr. Keshe. So it's kind of a transcript, but it's not 100%. So if you want to listen to it, because it's very beautiful, I can post the link in the chat later. Mankind should have learned a long time ago from the seeds that you eat, from the harvest you collect. You see the plant, it grows, and then it becomes a seed, and you see no life in it, but in fact, it has hidden life within it. And you cultivate it for the next season, and you see the life grow again. This is how the soul of existence is. It never dies. It changes according to the position and the presence and the environment. You take wheat, you grow it in China, it gives you the flour, it reaches maturity, and it gives you another seed. Now you take the seed and grow it in the United States. It still does the same. It imitates to show its presence in respect to the conditions and the environment. This is how the soul of the man is. We are gathered as a seed, as the soul, and then in the coming time, we reach the maturity of life. We gather knowledge and strength to become the seed, and when our soul travels to new dimensions, then it grows again. But this time, its growth and manifestation is in respect to its present environment. This is how we will travel in the spaces of the universe. The physical life, the flower, the plant, when it goes and hides within the seed, the wind will take it across the span of the universe, and where it suits and finds its balance, it will grow. Mankind should have seen this, where the seeds and the flowers of the plants let their destiny be in the hands of the winds, till we bring them to a point where they can nourish and flourish and become another flower. This is the condition of the soul of the man. We nourish our soul inside with our physicality And at the time of its maturity, let it be in the hands of the winds and sail across the universe to find its new position, to try to find its destiny. Why do I suffer? Because I caused the suffering to somebody else. Why do I go through the joy? Because I created the joy for the others to enjoy. When you suffer, understand what you have done wrong. Why came the suffering? Learn from it so you don't do it again. Add it to the knowledge so it don't happen to the future generations. You cannot steal and hope that it will not be stolen from you. Through the conduct of your own soul, your soul brings you to the point of justice. If you have taken, you shall be taken from. Mankind will learn very, very fast. Mankind will learn to be the seed that when it leaves this planet and sails on the winds of the universe, it grows in perfection, will grow according to its point. But as you have seen, a plant releases many seeds and not all grow. The ones which have misfunctioned and not managed to gather the right strength, when they land on the land, brought in by the wind, they will never grow. They will be wasted. They become another pack of energy, which will be nothing. And the seed that has grown to perfection, when it lands on the land, it will grow and it will seed. And that be the soul of the man. Those who misconduct will go through the same phase. There will be nothing left of them. This is what we explained is going to happen to the soul of the man. How do you expect to have a beautiful flower when you have not gathered the right energies for it? Those who steal from the soul of the man will pay through the balance of the conduct of the souls with their own life, with their own cycle of behavior. Instead of spending so much time on thinking how and what to eat, now that the technology has provided for man everything you need, think about how do I conduct myself? How every move of me will become part of me at the point of departure? And what shall I take with me? You took and shall be taken from, unless you ask and are given. This is the law of the creation. When you ask and you are given from a soul, this is a gift you are given. You have no more claim. But if you have taken, you shall be taken from, because the fields has to find balance in all directions. This way, man becomes the judge of himself and walks away from his misconduct of the past. You cannot intrude unless you are allowed to take part of. You cannot take another soul unless the soul has given his permission. This is the conduct, and this is the way mankind will live. When your soul becomes a seed in the wind of the universe, where all are accommodated, where you ask, am I allowed to be here? This becomes your place of manifestation. You cannot just barge in and take a position. If you ask and you are given, It's your right to stay, to enjoy the presence and the time. When you ask and you are given, and then intrude in what you have given, then you have to stand your own balance of the soul. You call it balance or punishment. There is no punishment. You will be brought to the balance by your own soul. You cannot change it or try to intrude in something you have given. And if you haven't learned, your soul will bring you to the second cycle of suffering, as you obviously have not learned. You do not touch what is not yours and is not given. If you do, you shall pay with the balance of your soul. Mankind should have spent more time in understanding the conduct by himself to create balance and not by force. Asking one question, can I be given? And if I'm given, I have to be correct in conduct. And then if it's misused when given the chance, then you will see the consequences of it. The conduct of the leaders of the world has to be correct, collectively for all of humanity, and not only for the areas they have been chosen to lead, which means they think collectively as world leaders and not as nation leaders. And this is why we have established the one nation of the Universal Council, that there are no borders. Their souls serve the totality of the souls of their mother language. Now you understand how deep the work of the foundation is set. To parallel and be in line with the work of the universal community, so that man is ready to join the universal community. In so many ways, mankind will become one kind, and in that process become one nation and take to the span of the universe as one race, and become part of one universe and the establishment of the great peace. My call goes upon the Universal Council and the Earth Council to work in one direction, to start establishing one government, one nation that you run through the soul of the world leaders. The change will come through the soul of the man and the new cycle of life. And we will complete the process for mankind to enter the universal community, to feel their presence and to become part of them. Mankind has to become mature, to stand responsible for his own conduct, and understand from now on that we are facilitating a comfortable life for man, to become responsible for the conduct of his physicality and his soul to become one. And in this process, man needs to mature. Mankind needs to grow in the second cycle, and that means elevation of the soul, spreading the love of the Creator amongst the creatures of the universe, not belonging to one nation, not belonging to one planet, but belonging to one universe. To work and strive to achieve peace, first for the soul and then for the soul of humanity on this planet, in the universe. Mankind will soon face his Creator, and in that process, creation will become easy for him to understand. My wish is that all knowledge seekers and all those who listen and hear the voice of the Creator will come together to bring peace to humanity. And in so many ways, my wish is my command. As a creator, I wish that man will reach maturity and peace and elevation of his soul. Thank you. So we can go to the next slide, Rick. So this is a wish from the Universal Council. It's actually the same wish as last week, but I thought it was beautiful, and I will read it. We, the Universal Council, wish for all souls to be one in the oneness of our Creator. And in a way, this is the theme for the time we are in, because there is a lot of unification of the souls, because humanity needs to become one soul of humanity. So we will all be kind of included in this soul of the humanity. And we are also doing the same work in the Universal Council, because the Universal Council needs to be unified and act as one soul of the Universal Council. So that is it. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. So we want to take 1 minute of silence for the elevation of all souls in existence, because all souls in existence and on planet Earth, especially on planet Earth, we need to be elevated to reach a higher energy level so we can live in peace and harmony and stop doing all the things that is going on planet Earth. So it's important for the elevation of humanity and also all souls in existence, which is the whole creation. And so I was thinking, we also like one soul of the totality. And what is the totality? Isn't that the Creator? And isn't that creation? So it's like everything in this creation. So we are all in the same, call it family or whatever. We need to be united. So now we take 1 minute of silence. Okay, thank you. Yes, and the elevation of all souls is so important to bring the world peace on this planet in these times where it's very harsh in physicality, but so all souls, every one of us need to work on our souls to unify, and so we become one soul, so we can reach all these goals. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is a video from, let me see, I need to see it on my computer. It says it's the 271st Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And I sent you a timestamp, Rick. Let's listen to what Mr. Keshe says here.
So when you have and look with the vision of the soul of the man, then you will see the light of the other souls. Man has chosen the easy way through the eye of physicality, so he does not need to bother with the eye of the soul that is much more effective, and it sees in the dark ages of the creation of physicality. Then, if you understood this, and you understand that you are in the position of the higher and royal length, strength of the field of the creation, would you like to be there? Or would you like to be there? There is something which man has to understand, and maybe it's the need for explanation. Many times in the teaching, we refer to common denominator. In one of my teachings, I've referred to this a long time. We have the gravitational and we have the magnetic. But you might have wondered how these two work. In fact, if you look at it, the two are connected by a field in between. It's the stream of the fields of the creation. And the two are entangled around. So that is the common denominator. This is the same strength. That at any point, does not matter what the strength, this is the same. We call it in the man's language at 1G. Does not matter at what strength you sit, at the highest, at the point of the creation, or at hydrogen. The balance between the two stands as a constant, which is the tunnel. This is a connection, and that's why the both fields stick together. They have the stem, they have the inner being in the dimension of the time that they can connect. Does not matter where you take it. Understand it very simply. If you're on the sea on the North Pole, or if you're at sea level on the South Pole, or in the Giant Sea of Japan or the Caribbean. It's all 1G. Because that's the point where the water, where the two fields interaction has created the liquid state of the matter. So it's the same here. Mankind does not understand the truth about the creation. It's so blind to everything that you should have seen the answer years ago. Have you noticed in some of my teaching, I say we take this to be the combination of the two. Now you understand where it comes to. How simple. That's as simple as it is, and you cannot explain it any simpler than this. Within certain tolerances from it, any protein, amino acid of a given length and strength can exist. Depending on how you base the life to start with. If you're a deep sea fish, or your animal live on the top of Himalaya, you have a minimum, maximum, and then you have a point of tolerance, because it's made of the same. If you take the fish from the bottom of the sea and create the right physical condition for it, then the Himalaya exists. And if you take the animal from top of the Himalaya to the bottom of the sea and create the right condition of it, it still exists. Because the central gravitational magnetic field of the earth will not change in any of the two positions. Man has got to understand much faster about the true essence of the creation of his own life. Otherwise you'll be here for another 4 billion years. Still looking, oh, there was a civilization 6,000 years ago who understood more than us. Because they've been through the cycle halfway, they never understood, they went back into it again. And in fact, if you understand this, 1G in many dimensions sits within the carbon-14. And on the other side of it is carbon. And in line of the two sits hydrogen as a 0, at 1G. This is not a hydrogen as you call it single, but we call it deuterium. The field forces of the totality of the fields of C14 and C12 in crossing have that 1G or deuterium. This is why in my teachings in the past I said, if you create deuterium, you can travel the spans of the universe. This is the fuel of the universe. Because depends how you turn it, you divert to the dimension of physicality or the essence of dimensions of the universe. That's how simple it is. Any other question?
I guess it would.
Okay. Yes. So he says, if you look with the vision of the soul of the man, you see the light of the others. So you have to use the vision of the soul to see the light of others in this. And then draws this spiral that we have seen many, many times with the magnetical and the gravitational. And the combination of these two, which is that purple line within, is always 1G, and it's hydrogen. And the hydrogen is a deuterium. And with the deuterium, you can change between physicality and soul state, as I understand it. And there was also something about the carbon 14 and carbon 12. So it's the same behavior probably, but I'm not an expert on that. So I'm not going to try to explain that. But maybe someone else wants to explain it better. Okay, there is another timestamp. I didn't send it to you in the same workshop, but I only have the start point, so we have to stop it when we get to it or when we think it's finished. And that is 24:29. Can we try that, Rick?
Yeah, sure. So 24 minutes, got 29 seconds. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 24:29.
Yeah, I have that set up. Let's give that a go. Again, this is from the 271st Knowledge Seekers Workshop.
Achieve. How do we create the new cycle of communication systems? Without a communication system, man becomes isolated in depth of the space. Because then we worried, what is my son up to? What is happened to the dog? Is everything safe? But I can't wait for 3 hours, 1 year for the voice to get to me from the other side of this line, the other side of the universe. In the teaching, understanding the creation of gravitational magnetic field system, we have realized these systems are natural communication system. Inherently, they send out and inherently they receive back. But as we've seen with the star formations, as we've seen with all the galaxies, as we've seen with everything else in the universe, we have to understand the strength of. What is the strength of going and what is the strength of coming back? We're sending a message out, but maybe it's received, but how do we get the message back? Are we, as we say, in the matter state, speaking on the same frequency? Or is it a one-way communication? What are the new tools of communication using plasma technology, which gives man zero time? How do we develop these technologies? How do we take these new understandings of the work of the plasma into practicality of the use for mankind? At the moment, if you are in Washington and you're listening to somebody broadcasting live in Tehran, you see the mouth moves, or it has to wait till he hears the voice before he can answer. This is halfway across this planet. What are we going to do in the distance space of the universe? What facilities, what technology, we need to develop. That does not matter whereabouts in the universe we are and what kind of obstacles on the path, we can still send a message home. And still we can get this message back. That the no noise or obstacle in the universe can become barriers. Because if we understand the totality of the knowledge of the magnetic field spectrum, then we can tune into a specific line, a specific strength, a specific what we call magnetic field transportation, which gives itself at what a speed, at what a strength. And when I tell you I am at 15 Tesla, for example, 0.5 in magnetical and 4.3 gravitational, wherever in the universe you tune to that, you can listen. But do we have Tesla measuring systems in the universe? But do we have systems that can be fixed continuously, does not matter where we are, to transmit the whole noise, the whole voice, the school of thought and the soul that anybody in the universe can tune into? Like initial systems which we discussed, we can find new ways, we can find new methods, we can find the direction of the flow that allows us to bring a new understanding and a new technology in communication. How do we develop these technologies? How much have we understood the full knowledge that now we step up to the next level? In fact, if you look at all the teachings of nearly past year and past years, the communication systems has been sitting right in front of us. Because we never considered, we have ignored it, or we didn't ignore it, it's not there, we don't see it. We use it in health system. We use it in material production system. We use it in every aspects of this technology in a dynamic system. And to be able to understand and be able to reach the understanding of the others, we always said the system will take in any direction as it needs to. But at the same time, the same system takes what it needs to. Now we can see there is a common denominator. We know this system. This system exists within the body of the man. We have the soul of the man. Then we have the soul of the physicality of the man, which sits around the heart of the man. But At the same time, we have the physicality of the man. But every cell of the physicality has its own soul, which all interacts with the soul of the man. Does not matter where you are. Even though they have a connection through the dimension of the soul of the man to every other part of the body of the man. When your soul transfers its energy or the information to the heart, sorry, the other guy standing next to you does not get the information to his soul of his heart, does it? What you feel emotionally in your brain, in reaction, in respect to the attitude of your heart and the dimension of physicality, does not give cancer to your wife or to your children. So we can see the zero-time communication, a specific direction, is already being part of the life of the man. The only thing is, move the soul here and move the soul of the heart of the man there. Or, in a simple way, find the strength that leads to communicate. Does not matter where you take the body of the man, you still have access to the soul of the man. At the same time, as you have created a common denominator with the soul of the others, like your mother or father, you have, does not matter where you are, you have an instant communication. Then this brings man to a new understanding. This brings man to find out about actual the strength of the soul of himself, that through it he can communicate with the other souls. In the teaching of last week, we spoke about the common denominator that is within the soul of the man, which is within the soul of the creator and everything else. How do we tune to the specific? And we don't always want to speak to one, we want to speak to collective of the souls together. There is a party. You just don't want to talk to anyone. You want to say to everybody there is a birthday party or we're going to blow the candle. How do you let? How do you choose?
Okay, did we come to an end of that video?
Like the soul of you.
There's an audio glitch that was in that part apparently for a few seconds there.
Okay.
Do you want to continue or shall we end it there?
The timestamp to just a moment. I think someone sent
36 now.
2:53:07.
2:53.
I don't know. Is it very? How far are we? Where are we in the video?
36, I think it was.
36. Okay, let's go to 2:53 because it was very interesting.
2:53.
That's the end point. Okay, that doesn't matter.
2:53 is the end point.
Yeah, but we can stop here. I can see what I got out of it, and then people can answer. He said something that in the universe there is a natural communication system, and we don't need systems in the universe. So that is pretty. I think we understand that everything is like natural communication, but we have to understand of the strength of it. So how to connect, and this will give us zero time communication, because traveling on magnetic fields is so fast that you cannot find any time in a way. So it's zero time communication. And we can send a message when we are out in space. We can send a message home and get an answer back, because we have a common denominator, probably with everyone we have a connection to, everyone we met. That's the common denominator. So we have this within our body in a way. And it will also show us the strength of our own soul. So that's how far I could get. But I don't know. Did you just stop it, or did you jump somewhere?
I just stopped it. Did you want to continue from where we were?
Yeah, let's play it until 2. What did I say? It's in the chat.
That's 2 hours of video, though.
Okay, okay. Then we stop here, because I think there is a misunderstanding. Someone was sending this. Okay, so we continue and go to the next slide.
Okay.
Yes, so here we have the one planet, one solution, and we are here to serve. And that is the motto of us in the UC. We are here to serve, and today the serving is through the commandments. So the next slide, please. And this commandment is number 14. And it's, thou shalt not rape. And from the 204th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, I'm going to read what Mr. Keshe is saying there. And we know why he took it out. And he is Moses, because Moses didn't deliver this commandment to his people or to humanity. So that's the he. And we know why he took it out. At the beginning, when he brought it down from the mountain, and then when it happened in his time, he could not tell people not to do what he did himself, because it was already given to the high masters. I don't know who that was, but Moses could not deliver this commandment. And rape did not mean physical rape. What it is rape of intelligence and understanding of the soul of the man, to abuse the physicality of the man. That's simple, as the Keshe says. And who is raping the intelligence and the understanding of the soul of the man? It's the religions, I would say. So they kept this knowledge about the soul because it's been delivered on earth before in ancient times. They kept it from a common man on planet Earth. So he could not understand, and he was easy to abuse by all the religions. Can we go to the next slide, please? Let me see. Yes. And this is from the private soul teaching, but we had permission to use it. And Mr. Keshe is saying here, in a way, what we call rape is taking without consent. And this is part of what exactly it says, exactly what it means. So if you take something from someone without consent, it's rape. But when he was given, so when Moses was given the commandments, this was one of the main commandments. It was one of the commandments that was given to him, the very first one, because the soul of the Creator was aware of his weakness, and he knew he will carry on with this. And in a way, he looked at it as a physical dimension, because this was not what was in his plan and his mind, but in fact was raping the whole culture, the nation, of what it was under his control, of their intelligence, of their knowledge, but he looked at it different way and took conquer needed to destroy and rape women, where he, with it, he wanted to spread his own, what we call, way of thinking. In the history of man, no one did as much as he, raping and damaging physicality. So that is a little bit about Moses. So he couldn't bear this commandment because he was doing it in physicality, and probably and also on soul level, because he was raping the whole culture and the nations. And further it goes, and we have seen people of Jesus' school of thoughts later on, centuries later, have done exactly the same. But it's taking from the soul without the permission, or trying to take from the soul without the permission of the soul is what we call rape. So, or trying to take from the soul without the permission of the soul is what we call rape. It's what will matter in space, in the universal community. Trying to access to what is not yours and taking it without consent. You cannot do it, but attempting it, you need to create certain conditions and fields that becomes the loss to you. In a way, when we say thou shalt not rape, it's for you not to lose, not for what you plan to do with, what to take from. This has a very, very deep meaning in space when you will see it. We see that usually with the new races, which joins the universal community, still with the old habit, they try to do this. They try to take without permission because they think it's their right. They come and they test. We expect to see a lot of this with mankind. Then they enter the universal community. We are keeping an eye on this. So that was very interesting, because he is actually saying that when they get new races into the universal community, and where are humanity going? We are going into the universal community. They see this misconduct among new races. So I guess that's why we need to gain world peace on planet Earth and get rid of our misconducts, so we can enter the universal community, because the universe is a peaceful place. Okay, I wonder if anyone else wants to comment on this commandment. I hope so. We have some Universal Council supporters around here. It's time for support. I have another thought about this commandment while we're waiting, and that is about the religions, because isn't that what the religions are doing? They are kind of misleading us from the knowledge of creation and the creator. And that is kind of a rape, because mankind has been out in the dark for a very, very long time. Enough from me. Hello? Do we have any Universal Council supporters who will have some thoughts about this commandment? Nobody? Okay, so then we should go to the next slide. So here is the place to bring the needs and wishes from your community to the Universal Council. So do we have anyone who wants to bring anything or share something with us?
Well, we did have that link that was mentioned earlier. Liliana had put in a link to the 313th Knowledge Seekers Workshop.
Okay.
And a link to the KF Wikipedia to kind of that's associated with that.
I have no idea what it's, but Liliana is our Universal Council member, but she speaks a little bit of English, so I don't think she wants to talk, but she's very fluent in Spanish. You want to play that, Rick?
I could. I was downloading it, but it's got another 5 minutes or so to finish the download. Perhaps what we could do is have a look at the Wikipedia for a couple of minutes first, because I don't like to play the video directly out of the YouTube. Okay. It's kind of not good to replay YouTube.
Can you read the Wikipedia, because I'm on my phone?
Yeah. Okay. Let me get that up here. You can start with that, and when the video gets downloaded in a few minutes here, we can listen to Mr. Keshe as he goes through this, perhaps.
Is that on the commandment, thou shalt not rape?
No, this is about salts and breathing. Would you like to say something about the commandment?
Well, I took it literally as a physical rape, of course, probably because we're all so physical. We always convert it into the physicality, but I was just thinking of the scientists and things who have basically stifled knowledge. Mr. Keshe went into that in the medical books, in the chemistry books, in the physics books, and so on. And this is what's stopped the progress in many nations. But I was also thinking when it said stealing intellectual or trying to get people to think the way you think. And this is a form of rape, apparently. And I was thinking of the plant, and I have a plant and it's growing in a certain direction, but I don't like that direction. So I put a string on it and I tie it and I make it grow into another direction that suits me. But maybe that direction that the plant wanted to go is the correct direction, but I don't seem to like it. So then I change its direction and growth and what it originally wanted to do. And that seemed to be a sort of a rape in a way, that the plant says, no, I want to blossom and flower in this manner, but I don't like it. So I try to change its structure. And maybe that is a type of rape. So I think it's, as he said, not so much physical rape, although that's part of it, unless, of course, you have permission. But it's more of the intellectual rape. And this is what the scientific community has done in stifling the development of mankind by basically not allowing advances because it didn't suit their understanding or what they thought they understood to make an advancement. So I just thought I'd go into that a little bit, but I thought originally it was physical rape, but it sounds like it's more on the intellectual intelligence level.
Yeah.
Well, if I could say something, if we were to take what Mark said and extrapolate that into the condition of many Aboriginal groups around the world, especially in Canada, has come to light that the what's called the residential school system was very abusive toward the Aboriginal kids that were attending. And now they're finding mass graves in virtually all of the schools that were set up across Canada by the religious organizations. And they had mass graves in the schoolyard, basically, right beside the schools for these, because so many kids died in their care. The abuse and the physical abuse is one thing, including actual rape was often part of the scenes in these institutions. But the worst part about it was the rape of their culture, because the kids were taken away from their families, away from their cultural conditions, and put into schools, colonialist type schools, and re-educated. They wanted to take the Indian out of the Indian, basically. So these kids were not allowed to speak their own language. And it's because their language is a live language where the meanings are very profound and have extensions into the past and future and everything else compared to the English language. It took away their spirit and their ability to operate in their own communities and for their minds to operate in the ways they've been used to. So they weren't allowed to speak their own language or to have any of their cultural things, such as their clothing or any of the parts of their culture were not allowed strictly. And they were beaten and sometimes killed for such transgressions. So this is all part of what's been unearthed, literally, because they're unearthing a lot of these sites they have new techniques to find the grave sites for these children. And now literally many hundreds and thousands are being brought to light here. So this is part of the cultural rape that occurred in the past and still occurs in many ways, in different subtle ways, and some not so subtle ones as well. But in Canada in particular, with the Aboriginals, this occurred up till, I think, into the 1980s or something like that, but primarily was about 50 to 80 years ago. So this was a major item, and the people that were doing this so-called re-education was a very deliberate technique to destroy their culture, and is as close to this definition of rape that I can imagine. And like I say, literally went over the line to the physical as well. I think that's part of the breaking down of a people, is you do psychological breakdown as well as a physical breakdown. And you install people that, you know, are kind of nasty and willing to undergo those sorts of things. And often it's in the name of religion as well. So fortunately, the peoples that are under that, have been under that thumb in the past, are now recognizing that, and they have been doing a lot of healing, many ceremonies and understandings with each other, and sharing their stories. And the government's apologized, and various people are still being arrested and so on, that have to do with all this. So it's an ongoing thing that affects actually many generations. It's not just, it can't just be immediately acknowledged and fixed. A lot of the people that went through this process, the Aboriginals that went through this process, they're permanently damaged. They have emotional issues. A lot of them became alcoholics because they just couldn't deal with the shame and the you know, the embarrassment and so on of undergoing all this this process that occurred to them. So I just wanted to note that, and it's kind of a sad story, but on the other hand, there is a lot of hope, and to see the results of their healing processes is quite amazing as well. It's made some very strong individuals out of this process as well. Okay, just wanted to mention that.
Rick,
Dean,
is
would you
Dean
like
here?
to go
May
ahead?
I quickly say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rick. So for me, the condition of taking from another. So if we have a way of describing something, whether it's a belief system or a scientific system, when we have guests from other places, we don't take from them by giving them a set of rules that they have to obey, a set of conditions that they must adhere to be able to be part of something. So, and this would be, if we had the universal community present, would we say to them, you must abide by this, and you must do this, and you must read this certain piece of literature for you to be present here? So this for me is like, it's like this rape that we talk about, thou shalt not rape. For me, this is the condition that everybody is free. We're all equal. We all have a beautiful soul that is a star that is present in the moment, and it has the ability to make a decision and to guide you and show you the beauty of everything that there is. And when you start to actually tap into this knowledge, which is the knowledge of the universe, then all these other words that have been spoken tend to start to fade away a little bit, because the soul has a direct communication with creation. There is nothing besides your thought and directly go into the creation, the creator. That's a direct thought. And then from that direct thought, you have access and capabilities to contact and be present with every other soul on the planet and across the universe and universes, the unicos. So you have that ability. And so for us to in any way to try to shape another and say that you have to conform to this, for me is a way of taking. And we know that when we have certain universal family present, they know this before you even think it. They know that you're going to think this. So you can't act that way. You can't speak that way. And you can't think that way. You have to have the all in union. And this all has to be from the soul of physicality to the soul itself. And you have to unite those two aspects. And the soul of physicality, you could say with your heart, but then the soul is of a higher order. And when you actually start touching the soul aspect of everything, as I said, all these words that we have on the screen and everything, they start to melt away because you have direct contact with everything. And you are part of everything and everything is part of you. And there's nothing in between that. You and your thought is a direct zero-time communication, and you have that choice and that free will. And that is a beauty that you've as a soul that you will always have. You have it in this exact moment. So when you act with the ethos of to give to another and not to take, so you know, whether it's in a relationship or a family, you know we've spoken about this many times, a community or a nation or a planet, it's the same process. So it's all about giving and not just taking. Yes, we can receive information and we can receive certain beauties. However, the ethos is to give unconditionally. And when you start to do that, when you start to really give with your thoughts, and your thoughts are incredibly powerful. They create in the moment you think it. So this is why the universal community would be present and would be witnessing and absorbing all these different field strengths from the thoughts and intentions that are present in these moments. Can you imagine the mayhem? Can you imagine the mayhem for them in these moments when you are a pure essence soul that only does, thinks and speaks good? So the field strength and the beauty of the resonance of all the thoughts that are being carried forth in these moments, creating different field, interactions with every other soul. So this is where, if we don't have this guidance, this beauty that is a direct zero-time communication with the creation, with the creator, then there is none of this confusion, and it's a direct giving. And that spark of the beauty is within each and every single one of us. We all possess this. We have this in us. So that when we connect with that directly with ourselves and then connect that with the creator, we have everything in this precise moment, and the ability to be present, to breathe and to be present in this moment and give to all. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Is there any other comments about this, or shall we return back to our previous programming? I do have the video lined up that Liliana was talking about, if we would like to have a look at that.
It's about breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a discussion about that in the Universal Council, what was right. Okay, you breathe in through your nose because it's close to the soul. But we had a discussion if it was right to breathe out through the mouth. But yeah, I think in this video, Mr. Keshe says that you should breathe in and out through your nose. Let's see. Let's play it.
Okay, so this is from the 313th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of January 30th, 2020. And it starts at 2 hours and 53 minutes. Okay, let me gotta share the audio. Yes. Okay, here we go.
I have a question, if I may, Mr. Keshe. This is Libby from a long time ago. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Libby.
I'm so delighted with this one cup. Thank you so much. I'm inspired again. So it's been, thank you. Thank you very much. My question was yesterday when I started making it, I decided to use magnesium sulfate instead of kitchen salt. Is that a good thing, or should I am going to make another one because I made a lot of them.
Yeah, actually, the magnesium salt connects directly to the soul of the plant. Why not?
Excellent, because I felt like I had an interaction with it when I was going to bed last night. I felt like I was communicating with it, and I thought,
oh, you fell in love with it, is it?
I did. So
let's go to bed with me.
well, my bed is below it in the next room upstairs, and I was just like, is that the reactor talking to me? I really was amazed. So I want to thank you again and again for what you've done for humanity. Thank you.
As I said, as long as it doesn't wet the bed, is good. Be careful how you keep it up.
Okay.
It is not, as I said, the limitation of this knowledge is a limitation of man's understanding of his own limitations. We limit our knowledge. There is no one right, no one is wrong. And this is what I said with the new technology. There is no peer review. If it gives you a result, you have to understand why. Why do you feel it when you choose salt or magnesium? Because in the brain of the man, we have mainly this very, 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 very little. You have a zinc. We hardly have zero copper. Very, very little. These are minute. And are used in very specific positions. You have a huge amount of what we call radioactive material. But we don't see this. Because this is the whole division of the cells of the body. And in so many ways, we have very limited amount of this. There is vast amount of what I call phosphor and sulfur connected to dimension of repair and multiplication of RNA. And if you have chosen any of these salts, then You have to understand where you're heading. If you notice here and here, each one has a specific reason and position. And each salinity between these and connection of the CO2, the reason you have a CO2 in your lung is very, very simple. And you have a CO2 in your brain. They feed each other. That's why they are placed above or below each other. And the line of connection is in CO2 in them. That's why when we breathe, when they start our breathing channel, the whole thing falls apart. When we breathe, we don't pass energy. The energy is outside the physical boundary. So this is what we see in the structure. So any of these salts you can choose, you can do. This is to do with the soul of the man. If you get this one and understand this one and the connection with this one, or connection with this one especially, then you can reach the soul of the man, the soul of your ancestors. But this needs a very deep understanding.
Is this also a reason why you need about 6 to 7% CO2 in our brain?
Without it, you don't have the connection with the lung. The field is created and controlled and linked up through the lung. One of the reasons we release CO2 is to keep the structure of the brain in order.
Now, is it done?
Because, let me explain something, please.
Yeah.
You got to understand, we create huge amounts of CO2. We think we breathe it out. But as we said, when you breathe, if you remember the body of the man and whatever, his mouth and his nose, you get the best, the highest energy. You do the same on breathing out. You give the highest energy which is needed for interaction with the physicality of the soul of the man. It's not that you just breathe CO2 out. It's the same process. The best of the highest energy for connection for the physical construction connection with the body of the man comes on the way back too. And this CO2 is not only linking, but continuously confirming existence. We always look in what we take, and this is the biggest problem with human race. When, if you go back to the teaching in the past, I explained to you that when you read, the soul takes the best. The soul is a clever chap. When you breathe out, it takes the best of what is created new for itself too. Maybe for the first time, man understands why he gets CO2 out. Without it, that is why when we cut the throat hole, we cut the breathing line, the brain stops because it does not get what it needs to match, to link up, and create a dimension of the connection with the soul. The breathing out is more important than breathing in because energy which is made for itself consumes it. It needs it, otherwise it cannot operate. If you allow people in coma or people in the deep shock state breathe through their nose and their lungs, they recover very fast because you energize what the body creates. It's literally the exhaust coming out is very much like people who drink their urine and they say they put things back because the body has made it. It's matching it. It's what it needs. It's not the conversion that you cross all the energy through the lung to the blood. That is for the blood. What comes out is for the soul of the man. The best could be done because it's made by itself. It's the first time I released this knowledge, but if you understand and go to my cups from 20 years ago, this is the first thing I consider. Breathe in and breathe out very, very slow, because the soul needs all what is created. You're destroying it, you think it's there.
Mr. Keshe, I have a question. You know, I do two kind of breathing. One is called Nadi Shuti, and one is called Sukha Kriya. Nadi Shuti, you have to sit in a specific position, and then you put your thumb on the right nostril, and you fold your two pointy finger and then middle finger, and you put your ring finger on your left nostril, and then you breathe, close your eyes, breathe very slowly in, and then very slowly out. And then you go to the right side, you start from the left, and you go to the right side, you breathe very slowly in, very slowly out. I do about like for 7 to 10 minutes. And then this one, when you come out of it, is give you so much clarity. But the other one, the Sukha Kriya, is the one you sit in the same position, but this one, you hold the 3 middle finger higher up, you put your thumb on your right nostril, your pinky on the left nostril, and this one is reversed. You start from the left, you breathe very slowly out of the left nostril, and you breathe in slowly, and you come to the right, breathe out first, and then breathe in. And then you do it for half an hour, and you breathe out of the left, you always breathe out of the left nostril, not breathing, you breathe out. And when you do this for half an hour, is a huge, as if you can actually feel your soul is outside your physical soul. It's a huge effect on the body. Like I try to do it like half an hour a day.
I thought you were a dentist, you had a lot to do.
No, I do it with my patients sometimes. You know, if I sit in my office, I do it. Sometimes I sit on the floor and I do it. But it also, what it does, I realize what it does, if you really, you don't even need coffee or tea. I don't even drink coffee or tea anymore because it gives you so much power. I mean, you're never tired at all.
If you learn not necessarily to breathe, we say, it says, I made man in the image of myself. I repeat this many times, but not many times many people understand what I'm talking about. He says, I made man in the image of myself. If the man needs, or the man can think, so does the soul. The man has to learn to understand this thinking and not this thinking. If the man becomes a passenger of space, because this so many ways is this which will manifest itself in the depth of the space. And if it does, it must think that it can exist. The problem and part of the teaching has been And it's been one of the biggest dilemmas for me for weeks now. How can I explain? Maybe this is the best opportunity to do. How can we get the man to understand the thinking of his soul and not the thinking of his physicality? And at the same time distinguish, is it the soul thinking or is it the thinking of the man? Because this soul, as you are, is already thinking and communicating with other souls what your physicality is thinking and communicating with physical life. Then it comes, does, by, as you say, breathing, do we, by different understanding of the use of the physical dimension, can we access this line of thinking? Because when you access this line of thinking, you become the light. You work this side of the thinking, you stay the physical man. We fall in love in the dimension of the physicality. If the physicality can fall in love, and I made you the image of myself, so does the soul of the man falls in love. When you fall in love with the soul, and your soul takes over the dimension of the life, you see who lied to you in the dimension of physicality. And this is where I live. But my silence is my virtue. And if you do understand this, then it comes to the point. Does the soul of the man is what we hear? Or is the physicality of the man which we hear? Or do we become so transparent to our physicality that we know the difference between the two codes? And when we get this balance, it's what is in Quran, the day of judgment. Because that's what happens to you on the day when the two have to say goodbye. Balanced book.
Maybe we have to quit there, Rick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very interesting workshop, so I encourage everyone to go and listen to it. Can you say which workshop it was? Can you maybe put the links in the chat?
Yeah, she's got the links in our chat here.
Okay, so they're already there. No problem.
And I'll put them in the other live streaming services. For the KF Wikipedia link will take people to the actual video as well in YouTube.
Okay. Because I think we have to continue with the program. And maybe we could finish soon, because there are many of us who has this dining with the creator thing too today, before
Yes.
7 o'clock or 7
Exactly.
7 p.m.
Good reminder, thank you. And let's get back to the workshop here.
Yes. So I think we say thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for participating, and see each other in next Tuesday. Thank you. And thank you, Rick, for hosting so beautifully.
Hello, this is Mosfik. I may want to add a little bit to this issue of breathing and also dining with the Creator. Those who are participating, using the mobile communication system, or directly connecting with the enhancement unit through Soul, for both type of participant. When you participate in this environment, one of the things that you may want to notice that the need for breathing is not as strong, and one could stop it. And this is something for those who are willing to test as an experiment and see its effect. It's an amazing experience. I'm conveying it partly because this video came up, and it relates to also what we are talking today or listening today, and as well as what we are about to engage in. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, then there's no further comments. Perhaps we can read the last slide here and we can slide out of the workshop.
Rick, is Dean here? Would you like me to read it? Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead, Dean.
Okay, so the Universal Council, we are here to serve, not to be served. The Universal Council. Thank you. So thank all the beautiful souls that have been present in the moment. Thank you for being present and listening to these wonderful teachings and experiencing an interaction that your soul is very aware of, and the solar physicality is going through the interaction of catching up to the beauty of the soul. So thank you for being present. Thank you all.
Don't forget my mango juice.
Okay, Joe. I certainly will. In fact, I thought I did last time, actually. I did actually think about that.
Mango juice.
There was
All right.
point, Rick, so I'll just quickly explain that. So Jalal said to, when we're in the going with the dining with the Creator, to actually think of a very specific item and to go to this with your thoughts to a place that was to do with a tree that had mangoes on it. And so it's to go to experience this, just so you know. Thank you, Jalal. Thank you for the reminder.
I was sending maple syrup from Canada, so that's from a tree of a different kind.
You are dining with your lover, my dears.
Express yourself a bit more, Jalal. So how would others understand that?
In 30 seconds or less.
Okay. If you have everything and your lover is in front of you, what do you do? You give him whatever he wishes. The first time I told you, all of you was going there. Don't go to take, go to give. You are giving more. Your lover. Who is your lover? It's your soul. It's your soul who's always in love with you. It's your Creator. and whatever, what you love to keep to yourself. It's up to you. By the way, by the breathing, just reduce the how much you breathe in the minute. Extend it how much you can, without forcing, without forcing. And then you will understand what mushroom is. Okay, thank you guys. Wish you all the beautiful dining room decoration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalal. Thank you for those special words. Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, thanks. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to the members of the Universal Council for presenting today's program, which is the 264th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice, here on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. So that'll wrap it up for today's show. I'll play the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version to go out with. And our next public teaching workshop will be the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group, which will begin at 7 a.m. Central European Time tomorrow, Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. And people are welcome, whether you're a newcomer to the plasma technology or a more experienced veteran. All are welcome and all can participate, and we help each other get a greater understanding of the plasma technology through our interactions. So that's coming up. And of course, the Knowledge Seekers Workshop on Thursday, as usual, at 9 a.m. Central European Time. Okay, let's go out and we'll see some folks in the next part of the flight training. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop, if not before then. Take care and bye for now.